Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Charles Phoenix. Welcome to my living room where I've been sorting other people's old slides for 30 years. Yes, I am addicted to other people's old slides, and that is why I am so thrilled that you are here tonight so I can share some of them with you. But not any old slides, no. These are all they are some of my very, very favorites of Southern California. And included in the mix will be some of my adventures out and around in the realm of reality of today's world of some of my favorite vintage places that we can still enjoy. So it's kind of a then and now. And I will tell you that I love to look through the layers of time. And that's exactly what we are going to be doing right now. Are you ready? Yes, you are. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is the age of space. The year is 1962, and we have just landed in the most modern metropolis in the known universe. The theme building was the centerpiece and the crowning touch of the 1961 jet age expansion of LAX. Where do we begin to behold the glory, you guys, of how much we all seriously love the theme building? I mean, talk about a mid-century modern masterpiece of the absolute highest order. I will have to tell you, we might as well get it out in the open. I think it is the second greatest mid-century modern structure in the United States. The first would have to be the Space Needle, but we're not talking about the Space Needle. We are talking about the theme building. To those of us who live in Los Angeles, when we see it as we're landing, it says, "You have arrived home." And for those of you visiting, it says, "Welcome to this wonderland to discover. Are you ready to roll?" We're going east, west, north, and south. And as you know, you already know, Southern Californialand is a fantasy land to discover. I mean, there's something interesting around every corner, no matter where you go. And don't forget, the mood is up. Prosperity rules. And the standard of living is flying high. Flying high on a rural road in San Dimas, someone has parked their 1956 Eldorado Baritz convertible by Cadillac, white with a red interior. Isn't it gorgeous? I know. In the middle of the orange groves, I can smell the orange blossoms. I can hear the palm fronds bristling in the breeze. And I can feel the cool in the warmth of the air coming from the top of snow-capped Mount Baldy in the distant background. Speaking of Mount Baldy, here it is now. Oh yes, as a dramatic backdrop, this is how we're gonna get everywhere, you guys. We're going on the freeway. And this is one of the first stretches of the freeway ever built in Southern California. It is it used to be called the Ramona Freeway. Now it's called the San Bernardino Freeway, but no one's calling it the Ramona. No one's calling it the San Bernardino. It is the 10. Yes, the 10 freeway. You can take it from the 101 to the 605 to the 210. I mean, we could go on, but we're not going to because we are talking about the fact that it's very kind of Caltrans to have not put a center divider. Oh no. All you have there is an extra lane thoughtfully divided into parking spaces in case you want to just stop, pull over the car, and watch the traffic go by. How lovely it would be. Well, this lady didn't exactly get into the middle of the road, but she is what I call a freeway poser. Yes, very proud of her 1959 Chevrolet in copper metallic. What a great place to take a portrait, you guys. Pull your car over on the side of a busy freeway and click, have a photo op. Well, you don't want to drive around in a car. You prefer something a little more classic and old-fashioned. Fine, be that way. Here it is right now. This is, one of the red cars, you guys. Okay, and it was taken on a very special day. Well, actually, it was kind of a tragic day in Southern California. The year was 1958. The date, I believe, was April 24th. The big fire at the Hancock Oil Refinery in San Pedro, or actually, no, in the LA Harbor, whatever. But anyway, yeah, I know, the entire sky was filled with black smoke, which is a dramatic backdrop for this red car, you guys. One of 900 in the heyday of the world's largest interurban trolley system that had 900 cars connecting 5 counties. So there are none still running. They haven't run. They ran from 1901 to 1961. Did I say that? If you want to see one now, if you want to take a ride on one, you have to go to the Orange Empire Railway Museum in Paris, P-E-R-R-I-S, not Paris, France. You will not find one of these there, but in Paris, California, you're going to find this amazing spread of, well, other trolleys and stuff like that. But the red cars are really the ones you really want to go for, you guys. So anyway, here we go. Oh, whoa, yes. How much do you love this one, you guys? I mean, you know, going through other people's old slides, you never know what you're going to find. There are many more possibilities than a box of chocolates. I will tell you that. In fact, the possibilities are infinite, and looking through each slide is like looking into a window into the past. They give me so much information, so much inspiration, and basically I learn from them. So I love this one. I love the Mercury van storage behind this little sign. This happens to be Ventura Boulevard. And the little redhead girl there dressed with a little puff sleeve, a little dress with a Peter Pan collar. And she's got her little bobby socks on, and it's 3 minutes. Yeah, you know where, to Hollywood. And oh, by the way, there is no smog here. Oh no, not any smog there. Here we are in Hollywood. A brown derby on a brown derby. Yes, this has to be the most iconic restaurant ever in the history of Los Angeles. Ladies and gentlemen, built in the year of 1926 at the corner of Wilshire Boulevard in Alexandria. And here it is in the mid-1950s when it was still in all of its glory. And by the 1970s, it kind of, you know, the trends had moved on, the neighborhood had changed or whatever, and people weren't going there so much anymore. So a developer came along and said, well, we're going to bulldoze the Brown Derby. And preservationists said, no, please. Save it, please. And so they actually did. They built a mini mall, you guys, and up on the roof in the corner is the Brown Derby. Still to this day, you can go see it. I know, nobody seems to know it's there. Everybody seems to have forgotten it. But you guys, I look forward to the day where somebody shaves it off the top of the corner, hidden in the corner of the mini mall, and brings it down and basically brings it back in all of its glory for all of us to enjoy. Speaking of glory, here's some glory, Los Angeles style for you. This is the Pan Pacific Auditorium, built in, I think, 1934. It was near CBS Television City in Hollywood. Well, that hadn't been built yet, but anyway, Farmers Market 3rd and Fairfax, you know where that is. It was right around there, you guys. And of course, those 4 pylons are famous. They're legendary. They are iconic. Unfortunately, this building, I should tell you, in its day, it's where they had it was basically the convention center of its day. It was before they built the Los Angeles Convention Center in 1965. This was the convention center. But yeah, those 4 pylons are iconic. Of course, they're in a lot of movies, including Xanadu. And you will really recognize them because currently the entrance of California Adventure at Disneyland mimics this incredible, timeless classic, streamline modern style of the 4 pylons with the flagpoles. And the tour of Hollywood continues. This is the Hollywood Palladium, the legendary landmark built in the year of 1940. Currently on the marquee here in the late 40s was Tex Beneke and the Glenn Miller Orchestra. I'm glad to tell you this building has been restored and virtually looks almost exactly like this today, and you can go there yourself. What you won't find out front is that sagey green 1940s car, nor will you find that street light, you guys. Look at the street light. It's like only has green and red and no yellow light. And by the way, there's a little arm that goes up, go, see that go? I think there's another one that says stop, like go, stop. Would you like to go through Hollywood traffic like that? I bet you would. I would. I know I would. I'd also like to be able to just once more, well, I never did, but I'd like to drive by this. This is NBC Radio City in Hollywood, built in 1934, you guys. Talk about Streamline Modern, an icon, a legendary landmark. Unfortunately, it was bulldozed in 1964. Because, radio was, yesterday's news in 1964. And this is, by the way, in the heyday of radio where all the big radio stars, well, maybe not all of them, but many big radio stars like Jack Benny, Bob Hope, and Fanny Brice all taped their shows in front of live audiences. But in 1964, when this building was, way before that, the big news in Hollywood was television, way before that. And this guy took a chance and bought one. I want to know, did it come with an instruction booklet that said paint the room black so you can actually see that tiny, tiny little picture? And also, did it say bring a game because you're going to be bored, there's not a lot of television, and bring something comfortable from outside to sit on? I know. The little boy, though, he doesn't care about television. All he wants to do is go flying. Streamland Park, Pico Rivera. It's like the early 1950s, and look at this place. This is, well, I mean, I just love the place. I love the yellow color. I just love the craft of it, the style of it, and, well, I'd love to fly around on one of those airplanes, wouldn't you? And as a dramatic backdrop here, we've got the Venice Miniature Railway. Railway, it says. Venice Miniature Railway. So you guys, this miniature train ran in Venice, California from 1905 to 1925. I don't know where it went after that, but in the late 1940s when they built Streamland Park in Pico Rivera, it somehow magically appeared. And there it was. I don't know how long Streamland Park lasted, probably until, I'm going to say at least the early 70s. And I have heard that this train, this little Venice Miniature Railway, still exists somewhere. So one of these days, I promise you, I will find it. And as he strikes a pose there, his little sister, Goldilocks, I call her, with a little plaid dress, she is taking a ride on the fire engines going round and round and round. And speaking of round and round, merrily, 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 the little boy takes a ride on for those hot summer days, there's a water ride to cool off on. I know, that orange paint on that boat. I just want to go on that boat, don't you? Thank you, call again. Not yet. No, the little boy hasn't ridden his favorite ride yet. I know. You actually have to work on this one. You have to go like that. So by the way, landscaping by Mother Nature. Are you beginning to appreciate Disneyland, you guys, just a little more? I know. This slide was marked the day that Betty went off to nurse's school. But frankly, it looks more to me like the night that Betty went off to nurse's school. And look at Betty, cool as a cucumber, ready to go, ready to take the world by storm in her fitted sheath dress, 3/4 sleeve, hemline just below the knee, black pumps, black purse, black gloves, and an orchid corsage. Luggage by Lady Baltimore. The Mercury Montclair is absolutely a stunner in tangerine and cream, inside and out. Now, I hope that she gets rid of that scuffed wide white wall tire, because it will not be socially acceptable for her to pull into the nurse's school parking lot with a scuffed wide white wall. Oh no. Now, I will let her slide, though, on the dented license plate, you guys. I look at these slides in detail. I really do. I mean, we could go on and on and on. I know, don't you love that big white steering wheel? But anyway, we're talking about the dent, the little dent in the license plate. If she wants to drive like a maniac, that's fine, but she better make friends with these guys. Yes, right here. They are part of the jalopy races at the Culver City Racetrack, which started in 1920. I believe this is probably in the late 40s or early 50s. And don't you love their uniforms, you guys? I know, their little club uniforms. And it looks like number 33 is already rolled over, but the excitement is mounting on the track as number 88 is about to roll over number 0. And I'm wondering why. I'm craving steaks and chops. And after we go out for dinner for steaks and chops after the races, how about a trip to the drive-in theater? Oh yes, here it is. So, we did not invent the drive-in in Southern California, but we certainly perfected it. Oh yes, indeed we did. This is the Compton Drive-In, built in 1948. And as you can see, it is deluxe in design in every way and more. How much do you love every single detail about it? Those scenes on the side there. And then, of course, the Viking ships, and Compton spelled out bigger than it ever has before or after. And I know, I just love this. But I will tell you that my mother grew up in Compton. So when I was a little kid, this drive-in was actually at the top of my grandparents' street. And I would go there as a little toddler. And I would just stare at those Viking ships all day long, hypnotized, spellbound, and mesmerized. So, of course, my grandparents moved away, and I had no idea whatever happened to the drive-in. But it's probably been 25 years ago now, I decided to take a trip to Compton to see what happened to the drive-in, see if it was still there. And I got there, and there it was. I could not believe my eyes. I stood there. I laughed, I cried. And then, by the way, I will tell you, I got home and I was like, wait a minute, did I really see that drive-in or was I dreaming? I didn't take pictures. We weren't snap happy 25 years ago yet. So I went back the next weekend, and I'll be darned anyway if the entire screen tower hadn't been toppled down. It was all in crumbles all over the place. So there was the end of the Compton Drive-In. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing. This is the Los Angeles County Fair. Speaking of drive-in movie theaters, we're not there yet, but we're going to get there in a second. We're going to see their drive-in movie theater, but where do we begin to behold the glory of how much we all seriously love the Los Angeles County Fair? Going on since the year of 1922, this is the Grand Midway in the early 1950s. The color theorist, the art director, designer of the palette you see there was the legendary designer Millard Sheets. Yes, so that's Millard Sheets' color palette, and how much do you love, you guys? The Elephant Tram, that actually has two tusks on it, that old I believe it's a 1939 Ford, that actually began its life at the 1939 and 40 San Francisco Exposition, or World's Fair, or whatever it was. But anyway, later on, the fair bought it, and I wish I knew where it was now. I wish it still existed, because if it did, we would be taking a ride on it right now. Here is the drive-in movie theater at the Los Angeles County Fair, you guys. It is, well, as you can see, it's a miniature. Isn't it adorable? The Sunset Drive-In movie theater, it's been there since 1952. It's still there to this day in the most precious, well, it's part of the most precious feature of the entire fair, you guys, which is the Miniature Garden Railroad, the world's largest miniature garden railroad. And anyway, when you get to go back to the fair, I highly recommend taking a look at the Miniature Garden Railroad. It is the world's largest and oldest. Did I say that? Yeah. So anyway, I know, I better calm down for a second. How's everybody so far? You guys good? Good. Okay, feast your eyes on this. High class by any county fair standards, this is the Los Angeles County Fair monorail. Back in the day, monorails were predicted to revolutionize the way we all got around, but ultimately were destined for, well, World's Fairs and theme parks. So, as I said, high class by any county fair standards. This is the monorail, and guys, I just love the design of it. It's so like fun and clumsy and deliciously beautiful in every way. I know it's kind of streamlined. It's kind of like a pontoon boat and a trailer had a baby. But I do know, so they were there starting in 1962. That's when they went in. And then I don't know how long they lasted, but probably until maybe just 20 years. I'm going to say they lasted about 20 years, these cars. But there were a bunch of them, and they would go around. The first year, though, they forgot to air condition the monorail cars. So you know how hot it gets in Pomona in September when the fair goes on. Well, you got to roast to a delicious done as you took in the mile-long view, bird's eye view of the fair festivities below. Speaking of the fair, this was my favorite part of the fair right here. This gorgeous, beautiful, mid-century modern masterpiece of a big neon entrance over the, well, you have arrived at the fun zone. And when I was a little kid, I used to beg my parents, please won't you let me go into the fun zone? Please, please, please. And they would always say, no, you can't go in the fun zone. No, we're not going in the fun zone. No, you can't go into the fun zone. And finally, like when I was about in third grade or maybe fourth, I said, okay, if you're not going to let me go in the fun zone, just tell me why. And they said, well, we're afraid that you'll be stabbed. Naturally, I was traumatized. But anyway, I sure do enjoy looking at that sign. Isn't it glorious? I know, it's like, to me, Southern California, all of Southern California is a big, giant fun zone. Well, so is the whole wide world. The whole wide world's like a great big theme park. That's what I always say. And, well, so is Southern California. Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about that right now, because we're supposed to be talking about trailers, you guys. How much do we all seriously love vintage trailers? Where do we begin? Calabasas, 1956. This is an imperial mansion built by the Spartan Aircraft Corporation of Tulsa, Oklahoma, owned by billionaire J. Paul Getty. You guys, I know. Talk about a mid-century modern masterpiece of the highest order. Now you see that little, well, that's not a patio over there. That's a horse barn. Yes, and here are three sisters. Well, the two big sisters are dressed alike, but the little one, she doesn't want to have anything to do with them. She's sitting there with her hand on her hip like, hey, and her Dixie cup a little cockeyed, come pour me a little more fruit punch. I know. Well, these three sisters will not dress alike, but these four sisters will. This slide was marked Tarzana 1958 Sue and Beanie's Girls. Well, where do we begin? First of all, the lampshade. Isn't that gorgeous? I know. Yeah, and not to mention the fact that Sue made those dresses for her daughters. And they are very optimistic in their appointment in their detail of rickrack, you guys. 1 row around the neckline, around each sleeve, 4 rows at the waist, and all the way around that voluminous hemline. Well, I don't know about you, but I love a beautiful family portrait. Indeed I do. Yes, we are in Palmdale. The year is 1955. Grandpa has his two-tone 1949 Nash Ambassador parked in the driveway, and look at Grandpa. Cool as a cucumber. He's got his sunglasses on, his double-pleated breeches, belted high at the waist, above the waist there, and a striped tie blowing in the breeze, and Grandma she's still got her house dress on. Then we got little Missy down front with a light pink puff sleeve shirtwaist dress with a Peter Pan collar blowing in the breeze down by her V-strap Mary Jane shoes over ankle socks. She's got a little weenie dog. I don't know what the weenie dog's looking at, but I know what I'm looking at. Right behind her, ladies and gentlemen, Margaret Hamilton. Yes, Margaret Hamilton is wearing a dress that, it looks like she forgot to go for her final fitting, for it seems to be slip-sliding away a little bit. And then we've got Auntie in her double-breasted red dress. We've got Uncle with a camera. We got Little Junior and Bigger Junior. Plaid shirt, cuff Levi's, shotgun. Well, everybody knows once in a while someone in the family might need to be shot. I say call the police. This is Frank DeGroat of Huntington Park. He was a part-time worker at the Shelmar Plastic Factory, and he was a part-time police officer for the city of Huntington Park. I love everything about that uniform. I wonder where it is now. Don't you love that hat? I know. Anyway, his wife, Helen, 1 ringy-dingy, 2 ringy-dingy, 3 ringy-dingy, worked at the Huntington Park Phone Company. And this couple documented their lives better than any other couple that I ever ran across in any collection of slides. And believe me, there have been many. So I have grown I have an affection for Frank and Helen. And look at her, she's all done everything, her hair and everything, and she's wearing her lovely suit. She's got her little red purse sitting there, and I have no idea what she's doing. But speaking of red, that's the color they chose for trim on their house. Isn't it charming, you guys? I mean, wouldn't you love to live in a simple little house like this? First of all, red and white. How often do you see red trim on a white house? Bring some color back into the picture. I am so ready. I know. And that little porthole window, you guys, and the front door, the screen door with a frame around it like that. Oh, I know. Well, it's Frank's birthday, and his lovely aunt has sent him a lovely greeting, and his lovely wife, Helen, has been busy in the kitchen rattling them pots and pans. And they have invited over, all the friends they can fit into that tiny little kitchen of theirs. And anyway, she has been busy. Yes, she has. She has concocted a strawberry cream cheesecake pie with fresh strawberries on top. And look at that golden brown buttery crust. Doesn't that look delicious? I know. Well, later on, after all the company goes home, Helen is going to slip into something a little more comfortable. I know. Can you believe that shower curtain, you guys? Isn't it gorgeous? That satin finish on that mint green plastic printed with flamingos and palm trees. And apparently, I guess in the 1950s, they thought the hibiscus was an aphrodisiac, for she has them strewn about her bare toes, and she's rolling one between her thumb and forefinger. I wonder what her husband Frank thinks of that. And the gun is loaded. The tour continues. Here's Helen at Knott's Berry Farm swinging I think this has got to be the haunted shack, right, you guys? I love the fact that Helen went to Knott's Berry Farm dressed in the theme of the theme park. I love when people go to a theme park dressed in the theme of the theme park. That would be difficult to do at Disneyland. You'd have to take a suitcase with you. But anyway, here is Knott's Berry Farm, and behold the glory of Knott's Berry Farm, this year celebrating 100 years. Yes, the Berry Farm started 100 years ago. Walter and Cordelia Knott, originally from Pomona. I know, they grew up in Pomona and then moved to Buena Park where they bought farmland and they struggled for a while. Finally, they got it together and, well, I'll get to the boysenberry in a minute. But first, you guys, look at this. This, a ghost town, I mean, basically, this area right here still looks almost exactly like this. The reason why the ghost town was built, you guys, is because they were trying to entertain people while they were waiting in line on Sunday afternoon for fried chicken dinner. That is the reason why we have the ghost town. So it evolved from a berry farm into a fried chicken dinner restaurant, a berry farm, berry stand, fried chicken dinner, restaurant, roadside, America's greatest roadside attraction, and then into the theme park that it is today, some 100 years later. So yeah, the boysenberry, you guys. So it is a hybrid between the loganberry, I forgot which three berries, but it doesn't matter. You can look it up. Anyway, but the boysenberry was this big giant berry, and people started coming from droves all over to buy it. And that is really kind of what put them on the map. And then one Sunday afternoon in 1934, I believe, Mrs. Knott said, you know what? While they're having tea and jam with their tea and boysenberry jam with their biscuits, boysenberry jam with their biscuits, I'm going to serve up some fried chicken. So she started serving the fried chicken, and next thing you know, as I said, they were waiting in line, and voila, the ghost town. It says the original roadside stand, 1920. Yeah, I love these people right here. I love this family portrait, or I don't even know if they're a family, but they kind of look like one. Well, maybe not. But anyway, yeah, maybe. But look at first of all, that lady's sailor collar with that red bow tie and the fruit on her basket purse. We need more fruit on basket purses, ladies. Yeah. And then the other lady has her white purse, and I don't know, she's part of the service, some service of some sort with her little cap there. And then the other young lady on the left, and the one with the service cap has the program from Knott's Berry Farm. And then I love the fact that the one on the far left there has a brownie camera. So get your camera out because we're going to be panning for gold. And yes, Sue and Beanie's girls wore their Rick Rack trim dresses to Knott's Berry Farm to pan for gold. So this is and was one of the iconic attractions at Knott's Berry Farm. Panning for gold, like you're a miner back in 1849 or whatever. The whole place pays tribute to the past, you guys, the whole ghost town. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, so as the legend has it, Walter Knott himself would stock the little gold, where you pan for gold. He'd stock it with gold every morning because he didn't want everybody to get into his gold, I guess, or whatever. He didn't want people to steal his gold. But anyway, before you go, before you leave Knott's Berry Farm, you always have to have your picture taken with these guys, Whiskey Bill and Handsome Pete. And they have been there, you guys. They are fixtures. They are icons at Knott's Berry Farm. They've been there since 1946. They are still there to this day. And there's also two ladies that have been there as well. So find the ladies, find these guys. These are iconic pictures to take. A billion, zillion, trillion people have had their picture taken with these two guys. And they were made by Claude Bell, who had the portrait studio at Knott's Berry Farm back in the day. And he would draw your portrait. He had portrait artists or whatever. And he said, well, I can sculpt. And so he sculpted these. And so finally in 1964, I don't know what happened, but it was like, okay, I'm done. I'm leaving Knott's Berry Farm. I want to do something big in the desert. So Claude Bell, the same guy that sculpted those two men right there, made this. Yes, a legendary landmark on the road between Palm Springs and Los Angeles. In the small city of Cabazon, you will find this dinosaur. I have loved this dinosaur my whole life, you guys. As long as I can remember, he's been there. This is what he looked like for a lot of years before he got his skin on him. Now you can barely see him because there's like a Burger King in front or whatever, but he is there. And this is an iconic, legendary, it's a mid-century modern masterpiece, let's face it. And while you, and I was going to tell you, I always love to take people here no matter what, because it's like a moment you do not forget seeing the giant dinosaur. Also, when people come to town, absolutely, without a doubt, we're always going to go to Los Angeles' first pedestrian mall and themed environmental extravaganza extraordinaire. This is Olvera Street. Formed in the year, well, it was actually a kind of a makeover of LA's oldest city block, supposedly. And anywhere else, any other city would call it like Old Town or whatever, but we call it Olvera Street. So it's been there since 1930. It is a Mexican-themed marketplace where they have merchandise and food and music and historic places that you can visit, like the oldest house in Los Angeles. I mean, there's so many things, you guys, but basically you go there to shop and eat and just to steep yourself in the soul of the city and just kind of revel in the glory of it all. And my favorite thing to eat there, you guys, are the taquitos at Solito Lindo. And believe me, I have brought about a zillion people there because I used to do this thing, the Disneyland tour of downtown Los Angeles, where I took people around on a bus and we would always eat here. And everybody loves Solito Lindo taquitos. Well, they're really good. And they have been perfecting the recipe since the year of 1934. So the other day I was saying to my mother, I was talking to her about this place, and she says, I remember the first time I ever had the taquitos there. And I'm like, well, when was that? She said, that's when we went to visit your Uncle Luke. And I'm like, well, Uncle Luke didn't live downtown. She said, no, Uncle Luke didn't live downtown. He was in jail. I said, I never knew Uncle Luke went to jail. She said, yeah, twice. Oh dear, Uncle Luke. Anyway, also, you guys, another very underrated part of Los Angeles today is Old Chinatown. It's been there since 1938. And yeah, okay, we might as well get it out in the open. It is no longer the iconic must-see tourist attraction that it once was, but I take everybody there because I love to look through the layers of time and I love to feel the story and get the glory of it all. And this is a place that you really can, well, look through the layers of time. Now, this picture that you're looking at is of the Hong building in Chinatown, of course. Yeah, hello. Anyway, so back in the, and I wanted to tell you, it still looks exactly like this. Virtually. All the neon is still on it. The signage is still there. Gift fair, Chinaware below gift fair, and Ginling gifts. That is all still intact. And I took I took a group. I used to take groups upstairs because the first Chinese lawyer in Los Angeles' office is upstairs. And it's untouched, undisturbed as it was decorated in 1940. And it is amazing. So anyway, I took a group up there and we were in his big, giant, beautiful office. And off to the side was this little kind of side room or whatever. And there was this little refrigerator in there and it was old. And one of the people on my tour opened the refrigerator and this like cloud of sage green powder came out and like filled the whole room. I said, well, we better go now. Anyway, while you're in Chinatown, please don't miss my favorite attraction in Chinatown, and that is this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Golden Pagoda Restaurant. This has to be the most spectacular Chinese restaurant ever built. Certainly the only one ever in the United States that had a neon pagoda. That is why they called it the Golden Pagoda. It has been there since 1940. This is the ultimate Chinese restaurant. And oh, it's so beautiful. Anyway, unfortunately, it is out of business now, but it should be coming back soon according to what we hear. And I sure hope so, because it's so beautiful. And just to stand there and to behold the glory of it. But still, it's there, so you can go look at it. Anyway, I'll never forget, like, one time I went in there, and I was going to tell you, there's one table in the actual pagoda. One table. There's a bar downstairs, and then you walk upstairs to the restaurant. And so I went in there, and I said to the hostess, I said, how many people can be seated at the table in the pagoda? And she looked me up and down, and she said, 8 heavy-set people. I was like, well, alrighty then, thank you. Anyway, this is the main dining room there as it appeared right before it closed in 2016. And I'm proud to tell you that I did host the Last Supper there when it closed. And I hope that it comes back. I mean, because this is the picture perfect Chinese modern, classic Chinese modern living room. I mean, the restaurant interior. I wish my living room looked like that. Anyway, instead it looks like this. But what I was going to say is that I always thought that if Lucy and Ethel went and had Chinese food filming I Love Lucy or whatever, this would have been the perfect place. Speaking of the perfect place, while you're in Chinatown, do not miss the ultimate, timeless classic souvenir shop. It's called KJ Louie. It's been run by the same family since 1938, and it looks exactly like this now. This picture was taken just a few years ago in all of its glory. It has a neon Buddha up top there to welcome you as it's the official greeter. And inside, I mean, the layers of time, you guys, and the depth of soul, style, and character is not to be missed. It is an experience, and I thank the KJ Louie family for all of their generosity in keeping this place open all these years. Another place I like to take everybody, you guys, where do we begin to behold the glory of? I would have to say, really, really, really important, the Watts Towers. The Watts Towers. Here we are. There's Helen. Remember Helen? Yeah, her. Helen. Yeah, Helen. The phone operator, the 90. Swinging around Knott's Berry Farm. Well, she gets around, and the Watts Towers are a sight to behold. One of the world's greatest folk art environments. You can see the bits of pottery. They are, they are among the world's greatest folk art environments. One man between 1921 and 1954. Yes, built them by himself, all by himself, with just reclaimed materials. And you can see there's lots of bits of broken pieces of glass and pottery, and the whole things are covered that way. I mean, you cannot photograph them, though. That's the problem. I mean, here they are. You get an idea of what they look like, but you cannot have the experience of the Watts Towers in a photo. Sorry, I'm getting a little verklempt because I love them so much, and they're so important, and I'm so thankful they got saved. Because in 1959, a bunch of people said, we got to tear these things down. They're dangerous. So they got in a big fight with the city. And the city said, no, they're going to have to go. And so they managed to get a crane there. And they said, we're going to do a stress test on them. And the crane fell over. Womp, womp, womp. And then someone wanted to turn them into a taco stand. That's real, you guys. And but anyway, they survived. They have survived. And they are still there in all of their glory. And if there's one thing that you go see and behold the glory of, to stand beneath them is a powerful force field of which you cannot experience anywhere else in the known universe. Watts Towers. This slide was marked the last day we used the incinerator. Alhambra, 1952. So as she closes the door on that smoky, dirty thing, the lovely Katie Kellogg, with her little short pants on, smokes a cigarette to mark the momentous occasion. Later on that afternoon, Sylvia, who was closing the door, strikes a pose with, I guess that's her husband, Mr. Suspenders. Mr. Gray Shirt must be Mr. Kellogg there. And they're not celebrating that meatloaf sandwich served on white bread and that bottle of ketchup. They're not celebrating that bowl of potato chips. Oh, and don't you love potato chips? They're not celebrating the cottage cheese with crushed pineapple on top. They're not celebrating the olives, the pickles, the pottery. It's all being served on the tablecloth. That big stick of butter, or that artichoke by Katie Kellogg's elbow over there. Oh no, they're celebrating the fact they went out and bought, I don't know which one of them did, but one of them went out and bought a brand new car. Oh yes, it is, ladies and gentlemen, the all-new for 1954 Buick Super Riviera two-door hardtop coupe. Isn't it gorgeous, you guys? I know. Jet black and lipstick red. Formal and sporty at the same time. And I will also tell you that it has those well, I don't need to tell you, you can see for yourself. It has those legendary portholes on the front fender, you guys. Aren't those intoxicating? I know. And I guess we might as well get it out in the open. This 1954 Buick truly is an American car. For it weighs 2 tons and gets 9 miles to the gallon. Okay, fine, you wanted a foreign car. Be that way. Here we are now. Oh. Arcadia, 1959. This is a 1958 Messerschmitt, brought to us by the fine folks in Germany, you guys. And isn't it adorable? Where do we begin? Okay, I'll admit it. You know, I'm totally obsessed with classic American cars. I grew up on a used car lot, you guys, in Ontario, California. How could I not be obsessed with classic American cars? But I'm just now coming to terms with the ability to admit I've always had a wandering eye for European cars and Japanese cars too. You guys, I mean, cars. I love cars, but I have seen few as quite as clumsily adorable as this Messerschmitt. I love the little buggy headlights. I love the little wheel wells in a two-tone there, the front fenders I meant, and those little tiny tires. I don't know if that's one tire in the back or two that are close together, but I should know. But I don't think I would fit in one of these anyway. But if I did, I'd want to make sure I was wearing a hat because it has, you guys, a clear plexiglass sunroof, which is perfect on those warm summer days here in Southern California, especially if you want to drive around and roast the top of your hair off. I know. Oh, you didn't want a foreign car. You wanted something a little more homemade. Fine, be that way. This is what happens when a Jeep and a potato chip have a baby. I know. How could something so clumsy be so streamlined? I have no idea, but isn't it gorgeous? It is indeed. And by the way, there are no doors, so you just have to hop in and hope you don't poke your eye out on that antenna. I know. Okay, you guys, this would be the perfect car to drive around and look at tract homes. Tract homes, okay, you guys, Southern California became the tract home capital of the world in the 1950s, and 60s. Where do we begin? I know tract homes. Oh, tract homes. Anyway, so it says, introducing for your year-round recreation, Ellenwood, 1,238 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes, schools, parks, swimming pools, close to beach, riding trails, shopping center, and call this number for information. Really, well, and I love the contrast between the stunning graphics and that spellbinding color theory. Who's their color theorist? That's pretty deep. That is very well-educated color theory they're working there on that billboard. I know. The font choices, everything about it I love. But it's parked on an old, like, wagon bed, you guys. Like, what's going on with that? And those guys must be the developers or whatever. But anyway, Ellenwood, by the way, is in Torrance. So I don't know exactly where it is, but Ellenwood is a development in Torrance. This is not Torrance, by the way. This is Monterey Park. It's 6 o'clock in the evening. Muzak is playing on the stereo console, and Mr. Suburbia has just returned home from a hard day at the office. Mrs. Suburbia has been, well, she hasn't had anything to do all day, for she has all the modern appliances that relieve her of the regular chores of yesteryear. The household chores. She has all the appliances that are automatic. You know what I'm trying to say. Well, anyway, it looks like she's been smoking cigarettes all day. Look at that ashtray in front of her, is all full. Anyway, okay, I better calm down now. Hold on, I need a little bit of wah-wah. It's water, you guys. Oh, maybe you should have a drink at the same time. Anyway, so what I love about this, though, you guys, is that if Mr. and Mrs. Suburbia want to enjoy an evening cigarette before dinner, that is so not a problem. They can smoke right, they can smoke left, or they can smoke forward, darn it, if they want to. And how about that figurine, that hand-carved figurine on by Mrs. On the end table there. Keep an eye on it. Here it is right now, and there is that same living room with very different lighting. Yes, seen through the most beloved detail, most beloved feature of every tract home built in Southern California in the 50s and 60s and 70s, the sliding glass door. Yes, and we've all run into one once. But anyway, never mind that. A wall-to-wall carpet, furniture on high heels, a rubber tree plant there, lampshades that are shaped like drums. Don't you love that? And hovering over that Danish modern dinette set is a flying saucer light fixture that will indeed hover at any height that you so desire. Keep your eye right now on those two turquoise chairs, because here they are now, ready for their close-up. And sitting on them are, well, this slide was marked, our neighbor Larry and his new roommate. I know. But anyway, I know. I know. It's just so fun to look through the slides. Speaking of looking through the slides, here we are right now. We're in Highland Park now, and Easy Street, you can see the street sign, it says Easy Street. Another slide in the same collection revealed that the cross street was Fortune Way, so I went over there and looked to see if that Asian symbol was still on that Pagoda Ranch style tract home, and I am happy and proud to tell you that it is indeed still there. I knocked on the door. I heard somebody come up to the door, but they didn't answer. So anyway, that's okay, but I'm going to tell you, if you want to knock on someone's door, no problem. If you want to inquire as to, something available in the yard or in the driveway or whatever, make sure you take 12 or 13 steps back. That's what I always do. But anyway, we're not talking about door knocking. We are talking about just because you are living on Easy Street and Fortune Way does not mean that you will not need one of these. Oh, yes, it is. Pacific Coast Highway, Long Beach, 1965. The bomb shelter salesman is out, peddling his wares on the side of the road. Survive all shelter, civil defense approved. I want to know, though, it says 100% financing. So that means if you get bombed, does that mean you don't have to pay the bill? I don't know. But speaking of bombs, you guys, you want to take a ride. Let's go somewhere really exciting. Let's go to the San Onofre Visitor Center. Yeah, San Onofre. Wait, is that how you say it? Yeah, San Onofre. Wait, hello. San Onofre. Yeah, hello. Anyway, I love this slide so much. The quality of it isn't great, but, not all slides are born equal. I will tell you that. But there's just, first of all, the building, which I later found out, as I said, is the San Onofre Visitor Center. But anyway, I want a house that looks like that. I would live there. I would live there at the San Onofre plant if this was still there and they turned it into a house. But anyway, I would insist that everybody that came to visit me would park a little more properly than this lady wearing her shirtwaist dress in a beautiful shade of burnt orange, striking a pose on the passenger door of her 1958 Fairlane 500 retractable hardtop. That's the roof. The trunk goes open backwards, you guys, and the hardtop roof folds up and goes in the trunk. But anyway, we're not talking about that right now. We are talking about the fact that I'll never forget my 8th birthday. My cousins were supposed to come over, and this was my aunt's car. She had this exact car. In fact, that looks like her. It does. This isn't her, but it looks just like her. And she would have worn that dress. But anyway, the thing is we're going to go to Disneyland because it's my 8th birthday, and we're waiting there all day. And they were habitually late, always late. And we were always on time. Our family, they were always late. Always drove me crazy, even as a small child. But anyway, so finally, it's getting dark. And it's my birthday's on December 20th, so it gets dark early. So it got dark. Finally, they get there to pick us up to go to Disneyland. And I'm like... And then I'm like, I'm like, you're late, and the car is missing a wheel cover. So I was going to have to ride all the way. Well, I did. I was riding all the way from Disneyland, Ontario, California to Disneyland in a car missing a wheel cover. I was traumatized. Then on the way, it starts to rain. And I'm like, oh no, it's raining. My mother turns around and said, we're not going, turn the car around, Aunt Karen. We're not going to Disneyland. It's raining. So she said to me, okay, it's your birthday. You're clearly a little upset. Where would you like to go that would make you feel better? And I said, there's only one place that could make me feel better. Vince's Spaghetti in Ontario, homespun and family run since 1945, an icon, a legendary landmark, the world's largest spaghetti restaurant. Oh, I love this place so much. And you know what, you guys? Okay, yeah, you can tell this picture was taken recently because of the car out front there. You know what? These vintage places, you guys, these homespun and family-run vintage businesses get more special every single day. So I invite you to, as often as you possibly can, no matter where in the world you are, go to them. And Vince's is heaven on earth. You can smell the spaghetti sauce, well, a mile away. And then to stand there and behold the glory of the glow of that neon sign is very, very special. So anyway, yeah, Vince's. You love Vince's. I know you do. I do too. Thank you, Vince's, since 1945. I know. And yeah, they're still there, so you can go there. Another place in Southern California, guys, that I love to go, my favorite barbecue place is Chris and Pitt's. Chris and Pitt's started in 1940. Chris Polonis. And Chris, we only lost you a few years ago, but you are a hero to all of us who love barbecue in Southern California, because look what you did to this building. In 1961, he had this building, this little streamlined, modern former cafe, painted up like a faux log cabin and covered it with glorious signage, and it remains that way to this very day. And you can go to Chris and Pitt's. This is in Bellflower, you guys. There's only 3 Chris and Pitt stores left: Bellflower, Downey, and Whittier. The Bellflower one is the one to go to because, yeah, I know, look at it. Turquoise trim, the red wagon wheels, but I don't know who keeps that paint up, but it's in perfect condition, always. I know. And while you're in Bellflower, you guys, a couple blocks down the street, you will find the world's greatest laundromat. I mean, I'm going to blow up my washing machine just so I can go to the laundromat, and this would be the laundromat that I'm going to go to. Because where else in the world are you going to go that you're going to get to see giant clothespins, not to mention that exquisite striping on the building and that glorious painted signage? Isn't it beautiful? I know, okay, fine. You wanted to go to a giant log cabin? No problem, we've got that too. Since the year of 1958, this is the Northwoods Inn. Yes, the Northwoods Inn is legendary because it is actually genuine real logs. There are 3 locations, count them, 1, 2, 3, La Mirada, San Gabriel, and this is the West Covina store. And I will tell you, the West Covina store, they all have the fake snow on the roof, which is like intoxicating to us here in Southern California, because we don't get snow on roofs here unless it's fake. I know. Anyway, this location, I better calm down. Okay, I have to take a little drink. Oh, is everybody okay so far? Anyway, what I was going to say, I better hurry up, you guys, because we have so much more to cover. So go here. Northwoods Inn, they're famous for their cheese bread and their blue cheese salad and their red cabbage slaw and a giant menu full of delicious... oh, dear, now I... oh, dear. Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. I have to get my voice back. This happened to me once before in a show. I took a drink and I went down the wrong pipe because I'm breathing too fast. But I'll be fine. Of course, I'm going to choke to death right here on camera. Great. Hold on. Just one more cough and I think I'll be okay. Oh, well, it's live, you guys. Okay, I'm back. A little drama. Anyway, I'm hopefully one of you would have called 911. Okay. La 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 la. Okay, we were talking about the Northwoods Inn. Yeah, Northwoods Inn. Okay, now we're going back in time to, well, the first freeway side shopping center in all of Southern California. This is the Eastland Shopping Center, built in Covina in the year of, oh, I just said 1957. But anyway, as you can see, it is an up-to-date, out-of-this-world, Tomorrowland-style island of retail, thoughtfully surrounded by a sea of asphalt, thoughtfully divided into 12,000 parking spaces. I loved going here as a little child. It was my third favorite place to go after Disneyland first, Knott's Berry Farm second, and this place third, because I thought it was Tomorrowland. I enjoyed every moment of being there, shopping with my mother and my grandmother. And, oh dear, sorry. You know, like I said, it's live. But whatever. I love the tower that said Eastland and everything, and the May Company, the big M. So the only thing that ever traumatized me there was the one time that I had to witness my grandmother buy a girdle. I know, but I just love to say girdle, don't you? And I also love to say myrtle and turtle, because they rhyme with girdle. I know. Anyway, so in the middle there, look in the dead center of the picture, and you will see this. Yes, Clifton's Cafeteria. So Clifton's... You guys, Clifton's Cafeteria, downtown Los Angeles, the original Brookdale Lodge. I hope it reopens. You know, if you don't know Clifton's, Google it, but you probably do. But they also had mid-century mod ones, a couple of them out in the burbs. And this one at the Eastland Shopping Center, we used to go there. And don't you love that signage, you guys? Like someone a little tipsy spelled it out, and well, it's kind of like your favorite lesbian aunt's handwriting, isn't it? I know. Anyway, so inside, I remember going there. We had to always go there on Wednesday, though, because that was the day they had enchiladas, and my mother and grandmother really loved their enchiladas a lot. I don't remember what I ate there, but I do remember that I washed it down with the brightest, most sweetest red fruit punch you ever saw that I ever had. It was just amazing. They had a live organist, you guys, playing that dipsy doodle organ music. I mean, and you sat in this sea of like shocking pink vinyl, surrounded by the warmth of this gorgeous medium honey blonde paneled wood with like planters and these light fixtures that were from another planet. I mean, it was nirvana, I'm telling you. And they'd give you a little chocolate, a gold foil wrapped chocolate coin. And they would also on the kids tray. And then you'd get a little prize when you left and everything. Oh, I know. Speaking of Covina, it is the Covina Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, it is. And so you guys, how much do we love the Covina Bowl? Built in 1955. It was, according to the legend, the first bowling sport palace in all of Southern California land, indeed. And anyway, it closed a few years ago. I had the last strike party there. And now the facade of it and the sign are being incorporated into some condo complex. It's like, okay, I know, nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. At least it had a longer life than this bowling alley. So collecting other people's old slides, occasionally I gasp, occasionally I burst out into tears, occasionally I pass out, occasionally I slip into in such shock level of shock that I have to go into a self-induced shock coma for a while. Otherwise, I will explode into smithereens, into the stratosphere, never to be seen or heard from again. And that is exactly what happened when I ran across this slide right here. It is the Wonder Bowl. Built in Anaheim in 1957, you guys. I mean, we could sit here all day and just go on and on and on about every detail, the color theory, the signage, and the super signage. When was the last time have you ever seen a sign do a plie like a prima ballerina? I mean, where do we begin? I will tell you that this is currently, if you go to California Adventure, this is about where Incredicoaster is right now, or, you know, I mean, Incredicoaster is bigger than this place, I think. Well, actually, maybe not, but anyway, yeah, so it's long gone, the Wonder Bowl. But this is the Bowlium in Montclair. This is the last surviving bowling alley in all of Southern California with a grand entrance from that Googie era of Googie design, outer space age style, like we love it. And anyway, I got excited. I was, you know, running around there. I mean, it just those big giant arches that note, mark, and put you in place for the grand entrance there. They are the grand entrance. They inspire my imagination and make my spirit soar. And you can go there right now and go bowling. That is the Bowlium in Montclair, California, also built in 1957. In Glendale was where the AMF headquarters, where American Machine Foundry, I think is what it stands for. They're the ones that made the automatic pin spotters, you guys. So before that, you know, it was a bunch of like, well, according to legend, a bunch of like, well, teenage boys, I guess, and maybe grumpy old men that set the pins. Or, you know, set the pins out or whatever. Anyway, I am from the era of the automatic pin spotter, and I marvel at it every single time, every time I go bowling. Don't you? Anyway, but I don't marvel at it as much as I would marvel at this giant bowling pin that marked the headquarters of AMF in Glendale. Unfortunately, no longer standing there, and neither is this guy. This is a giant muffler man, but he's not carrying a muffler this time. He's selling tires. Foil-wrapped tires, you guys. Why didn't they wrap the one in his hand? I don't know, but it doesn't matter right now. We're not talking about foil. We're talking about the giant muffler men. The first one was built in 1962 by a boat company in Venice, California. They built them until 1972 or 73. And these guys they had various occupations, various identities. And there are some still around. And I will tell you that they are absolute mid-century modern masterpieces, and they are each one that survives is a world-class national treasure. You want a hot dog? That's fine. Here we are at the tail of the pup. It was built in 1946 in Los Angeles and is absolutely among the most important, iconic, legendary landmarks in Los Angeles. It served hot dogs up until about, I'm going to say 12, 13 years ago, and it went into hiding. Whole long story there. You can read about it in my book, Addicted to Americana. But I will tell you that I'm glad to tell you that I have heard from a very reliable source that the tail of the pup will be coming back very soon, serving up those piping hot dogs that we absolutely love. Indeed, it will. And I can't look forward to the day enough. And I will be the first one in line to stand there in front of this giant, mesmerizing, hypnotizing, and spellbinding architecture. This is architecture. This is a building. Yeah. Los Angeles and Southern California is a wonderful place to be. Speaking of giant things that we love, we might as well get it out in the open right now, that Randy's Donuts is the most important retail structure of the 20th century. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Nothing else is more important. Look at that giant donut. Design-wise and otherwise, stylistically, this is form follows function so perfectly that it is mind-boggling to the brain. More mind-boggling than, well, anyway, it's just, yeah. So, I mean, first of all, and don't you love the 59 Cadillac parked there? It was built in 1951. It became Randy's in 1962. And I will tell you that I marvel at it. And I will tell you also that Southern California has more giant donuts than any other city in the known universe. There were 9 of these. They were originally called the Big Donut Drive-In. There are 9 of these giant donuts. There are 4 of them left. And I will tell you, now Randy's has been sold and there's a new owner and they are developing certain locations around Southern California and they're building a couple of them. The cities are allowing them to have the big donut, like the new Randy's in Downey, you guys, has a donut almost as big as this, and it's gorgeous. Thank you, Downey, for for saying yes, because it gives us a reason to go to Downey to get donuts. I know. Anyway, speaking of how much do we love the Wienermobile, it is the most famous, the most iconic advertising vehicle ever in the history of mankind. I know. Anyway, this is talk about a mid-century masterpiece. This is the 1952 version of the Wienermobile, parked at the Valley Plaza in North Hollywood at the opening of the new Thrifty's air-conditioned restaurant. And I will tell you that there is one, I'm not sure how many of these actual Wienermobiles were made, if they made more than one. They might have made 2 or 3 of these in 1952. I know that's a flattened Dodge chassis. And I know that one of these, like maybe it is this one right here, survives, this exact model survives at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. If you happen to go there, I hope so. I don't know about you, but I've always had the idea that it would be a good one to drive the Wienermobile through this. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is, is it working? Oh, there we go. Okay, here we are. You guys, we're at the, I should turn the sound down. We're at the Donut Hole. This is my favorite. Okay. Since 1968, the Donut Hole. It's the greatest drive-through experience in the known universe. And the Wienermobile called me up and said, do you want to take a ride one day? And I said, yes, I want to take the Wienermobile to the Donut Hole. But it didn't fit. Womp, 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 womp. At least I tried, you guys. I got close. I know. But anyway, yeah, the Donut Hole and the Wienermobile are a match made in heaven, aren't they? I know. Speaking of, how much do you love giant oranges? How much do you love orange juice? On Route 66 in Fontana, California is where you will find this. Yeah, it's a little beat up. It's got a little graffiti on it or whatever, but we love to look through the layers of time. And this is Bono's Historic Orange. They've been serving orange juice there since about 1936. So a friend of mine came from Kansas City, and I said, well, what do you want to do while you're here? He said, I want to see that big orange juice, the big orange juice stand on Route 66. I said, let's go. We got in the car. We went out there. He was taking pictures of the big orange, and I went over to the Italian restaurant on the side, Bono's Italian Restaurant, that I'd heard of my whole life because I'm from Ontario, which is near Fontana. And but we had never gone there as a child. We went to a million restaurants, but that is one we never went to, Bono's Italian Restaurant. So I walked over there, and I went to open the door, and the door was locked. So I'm like, oh no, the door's locked. So I looked in the window, and I saw somebody, and then I'm like, oh dear, I don't know what's going on. So I turned around, I walked back to the parking lot towards the car, and I hear, excuse me, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were out of business. And he goes, the old man opened the door of the restaurant. He says, come on in. I'll show you around. Mother opened the place in 36. So I'm like, okay. So I go in there and he shows us around and it's great. I love old people. I love old places. I mean, it was amazing. So I got the whole story of Bono's Italian Restaurant. And then I said, well, thank you very much for the tour. We better go now. And when I turned around, where there was one door that I came in, suddenly there was a wall of 5 doors. I'm like, which door out? He says, that one right there. So I opened the door and I took one step out and I'm like, oh no, this is like to the backyard, to the old house behind the restaurant. And he said, you like old cars? And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do. He said, I want to show you my Chrysler. I bought it brand new. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, please let it be in 1957. That's my favorite year. So he struggles. He takes me out there to the garage. My friend and I, he takes us out to the garage to show us the car. And he couldn't get the garage door open. I'm like, no, don't do this to me. I'm a car freak. You're an old man. You bought it brand new. What is it? I had to see. Finally, he gets the door open, and there it was. Whoa! I heard the angels singing, and suddenly everything in the world made sense. For there was what I had wished for, what I had hoped for, a 1957 Chrysler, beautifully finished in this gorgeous ruby red metallic. Yeah, it had a little dust on it. It had been sitting there. He doesn't drive it anymore. So anyway, I know better than to say is the car for sale, because of course if an old person has kept something so long, they're never going to sell it. So I went back a couple times and talked to him about the car and even showed it to me another time. And then, he ultimately said, I'll sell it to you. He said, you can buy the car when I'm dead. So anyway, long story short, 9 years went by, and I went by there. I went by there about every 6 months, and I only saw him a few times because he often wouldn't answer the door. Well, finally he didn't answer the door, and I just thought, I better look up the obituary. So I did, and there he was, listed in the obituary. He had died 3 months before. So I thought to myself, well, he did say I can buy the car when he's dead. So in the obituary was his sister's name. So I called her up and I told her the whole story, honestly, exactly as it had transpired. And I told her, I said, he said that I can buy the car when he is dead. And so, you know, very respectfully and everything. And so she said, well, we have somebody for the Cadillac and we have somebody for the pickup, but we don't have anybody for the Chrysler. And I said, well, you do now. And then I went to pick it up, and there it was in all of its glory. And in case I was confused about what kind of car it was, right there on the front hood, it says Chrysler. And now I'm the proud owner of a 1957 Chrysler Windsor with 49,000 miles that found me. Life is full of surprises, and most of them are wonderful. I wish I could drive it here. As a matter of fact, one day I will. This is In-N-Out Land in Baldwin Park, California, the site of the original In-N-Out Burger and now the site of the original company store. This is not the original company store. It's right across the street, right across the other side of the freeway. You can see 3 In-N-Out signs there. This is the replica that they lovingly built of the original stand that the Snyders opened in 1948. They pioneered the drive-through concept. And I will tell you, thank you to the In-N-Out family for building this, because it is, well, I mean, they did not spare any expense. It is Walt Disney quality. They do not serve hamburgers from the little copy of the original stand, the little replica, but they serve a photo op. So in case you want to have your picture taken or your car's picture taken in the most glorious setting, hello, In-N-Out replica in Baldwin Park, California. You can do that right now. Speaking of, this is not Baldwin Park. This is Alhambra. I call this Jack in the Box at dawn. Isn't that gorgeous, you guys? Jack in the Box started in San Diego in the year of 1951. And in 1958, the powers there in San Diego said to the owners of Jack in the Box, you're going to have to take down that big, tall pole sign. We don't have big, tall signs anymore here in San Diego. So the people at Jack in the Box are like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And the result was this. They said, let's just put 4 billboards around our short little stand, and it'll be our building. And indeed they did, and they had some color theorists come in. And where did they get that color theory? It's mesmerizing, hypnotizing, and spellbinding, I know. So basically what they came up with was an international style meets mid-century modern meets fast food masterpiece of a drive-thru. Don't you love those fake flags blowing in the breeze? I know. It says drive-thru? Yeah, drive-thru, and it says insured quality hamburgers. They also say, the flags say shrimp and turnovers? It's hard to see. But anyway, I know. Sorry, you guys. We could be here all day talking about all the details, but how much do we love Tacolita? How much do we love tacos? Where do we begin? Before Del Taco and Taco Bell ruled the world of fast food tacos, you guys, in my hometown of Ontario, California, we have this Tacolita. I believe this is not the Ontario location. However, I believe this is the, Pomona location. Sorry, I just get excited when I get to say the word Pomona. Don't you? I just love saying Pomona. Anyway. There were, I'm not sure how many locations there were, but I know there is one still standing. It does not have a neon sign like this. Look at that masterpiece. I know. It's like a flaming butthole. That's what someone called it. But anyway, and yes, that is a 1955 Mercury there beside it. It's not Betty, who was going off to nursing school. Her car was a 56. We could go on and on and on, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm a little wound up. So shall I have another drink to calm down for a second? This time I won't partially choke to death. Okay, here we go. La 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 la. I can drink again without dying. Anyway, this is, okay, oh no, we're not there yet. This is Der Wiener Schnitzel, you guys. Started in 1961 in Wilmington, California. The original stand is still there. However, it is not an A shape like this that you drive through. I love drive-thrus. I love car culture. And I love the layers of time of car culture. There are just a few of these Wiener Schnitzel. They don't call it Der Wiener Schnitzel anymore. They just call it Wiener Schnitzel with the A-frames that you can drive through still. And every 5 years, I allow myself one mustard dog from Wiener Schnitzel, and oh, they're so good. I know. But don't you love, the line of the cars there, that 67, or is that 67 Torino by Ford, and that 1961 Mercury Comet with the taillights like that? And, of course, how about that 1973 Nomad Wagon by Vega? I know. And there's a Pinto Park there besides Volkswagen Bug, and a Datsun. Is that a B210? I remember B210s. I know, we're not talking about B210s right now. We're talking about, in fact, you didn't want a hot dog, you want a hamburger. Fine, we're going to go here. In the realm of great architecture, we might as well get it out in the open. Seriously, not joking around. The original McDonald's design is a mid-century modern masterpiece of the absolute highest order. The first of these buildings was built in 1952. The McDonald's brothers started in San Bernardino in 1948, but in 1952 they went to an architect in Fontana, California and said, give us a building that will be an icon that people will recognize without even having to read the sign out front. And this is what they came up with: a wedge-shaped roof line, 3 sides of glass, the red and white striped tile, and of course, yeah, the golden arches. Well, and that gorgeous little sign out there with Speedy. Anyway, we have one intact here in Southern California, here in the whole wide world. The oldest surviving McDonald's is in Downey, California, and it looks exactly like that one right there. The only thing, it has a better sign than this one. Here is the sign. The one in Downey that survives was built in 1953, and the sign they added in 1959. I mean, this is this sign at the Downey McDonald's, which you can go and see right now and have a hamburger there and french fries. Oh, those french fries are so good. I know. Anyway, and Speedy on top, running there, because he's like speeding to get your food very quickly. The McDonald's brothers, by the way, invented the fast food concept. They really did, or at least they perfected it for sure. So let's, we might as well get it out in the open. When you're in a hurry for food, thank the McDonald's brothers. But anyway, so yeah, this is like a Las Vegas Strip scale sign, you guys. And it is one of the great masterpieces of signage in all of the Western Hemisphere, probably the Eastern Hemisphere too. Isn't it gorgeous? I know. If you like Speedy up on top, you're going to love Bob's Big Boy. Bob's Big Boy was born in 1934, and in 1956 he morphed into this shape right here. And I don't know about you, but I absolutely love Bob's Big Boy. I love that hairdo he has. It's like soft serve ice cream dipped in chocolate dip, when they dip it or whatever. And that triple hamburger, the double-decker hamburger and everything with that extra piece of bread in the middle, because we all need a little extra bread, don't we? I know. I love his outfit. I love everything, his expression. In fact, if I could come back to life as an inanimate object, this would be me. Did you know that he has a Western cousin who lost a lot of weight in Whittier at the Steak Corral, you guys? Out in front of the Steak Corral since 1965 stands this Bob's Big Boy kind of like cousin or whatever. I mean, don't you love that giant cowboy hat? He's got a lasso, a rope. And inside you can have a salad bar, or you can go to the salad bar, which is a covered wagon. That is the Steak Corral in Whittier. That you can go there. And speaking of these characters, at Bob's Big Boy Broiler in Downey, on the back side of the parking lot, you will find the former greeter, the former official greeter at Downey. Sorry. There's a lot of information here, you guys. Maybe I better take a breath right now. Maybe I better have another little drink. Okay, this is Fat Boy, you guys. Fat Boy is a kind of a knockoff of Bob's Big Boy. Anyway, he has the same kind of hamburger and everything, but he's blonde. And he was from Johnny's Broiler. Johnny's Broiler was an iconic restaurant in Downey, California that went out of business, about 20 years ago now, and then was resurrected a few years later as a Bob's Big Boy. So if you go to Bob's Big Boy in Downey right now, out front you're going to see Bob, out back you are going to see Fat Boy. And how much do you love? I mean, look how big he is, you guys. I mean, this is the greatest underrated artifact from the mid-century era in Southern California that is like outside in the elements, or even inside. Okay, fine. Enough about Fat Boy. Yeah, love Fat Boy. Striped shirt. I know. The shoes. I know. Anyway, this is Tiny Nailers, and it was built in 1949 at the corner of La Brea and Sunset. And talk about an architectural masterpiece of the absolute highest order, you guys. Where do we begin? It looks like a jet fighter plane had a baby with a drive-in restaurant. It stood there until the early 80s. And I'll never forget that when I remember seeing it for the first time. I was with some friends in 1979, and we came to LA in a 1963 Lincoln Continental. And I know, even then I thought that was an old car. And because it was already. Anyway, and we were driving there, and we went to see the King Tut exhibit, and on the way home, my friend's dad said, we just have to drive by and see if Tiny Nailers is still there. And it was, and I'm like, oh, I never forgot it. And thank God this picture exists, because they are rare. Speaking of rare pictures, I'll tell you another rare picture is next door to Schwab's in Hollywood on the Sunset Strip at the corner of Crescent Heights was the iconic original Googie's coffee shop. So we say Googie architecture for that kind of fun and flamboyant, avant-garde architecture of the late 1950s and 60s. We call it Googie style architecture. Well, it is named after Googie's coffee shop that was built at the corner there in 1949 by legendary modernist John Lautner. He was the designer. And it's kind of just wacky. And the roof, he says, well, let's just make the roof go like whoop, the whole side of the restaurant just curves up like that. I mean, think outside the box. This is thinking outside the box. This is fashion forward. This is progressive. This is legendary. This is iconic. This is Googie's. Like Art Deco did not become a term until the 1960s, talking about Art Deco architecture from the late 20s and 30s. Googie did not become an architectural term until the book called Googie came out, you guys. Oh, that's my favorite book. By Alan Hess, who's a hero of mine. Look it up. Googie, the Book of Googie, the Googie book. Anyway, here has been Frank's, built in 1963, or was it 2, on the Sunset Strip. I love that kind of cockeyed A-frame roofline with a broken back. See there, that broken back roofline. That sign is splendiferous in every way. Exquisite! Exquisite. And you can see it says Ben Franks there in your favorite lesbian aunt's handwriting. And I also love, you guys, don't you love underneath that awning that comes out? It's painted orange, so it will reflect on you and give you that warm, rich glow. Not to mention the fact, parked out front is a 1959 Chevrolet station wagon to match the restaurant. How lucky can you get? Behold the glory. It is now Mel's Diner, by the way, which is on the 3rd generation homespun and family run Mel's Diner in this former Ben Franks. You can go there right now. You can also go here right now, you guys. This is Norm's, another icon of Los Angeles, built in 1957. This is an old postcard, and you can see, I want to go there and have that dinner. They still have the exact same dinner, except, well, I think you get French fries now instead of baked potato. Maybe they do have baked. Sour cream and chives. I love the parsley on the plate. I don't know if that's there anymore. I don't know what kind of soup that is. It looks like kind of like clam chowder or whatever. And then a salad with like beige dressing, probably Thousand Island. 2 rolls, a giant couple big pats of butter, and all that silverware. They don't do that anymore. And tomato juice, or do you say tomato? Anyway, I just love Norm's, and it's a great experience to go there and bask in the glow of the glory of this iconic, legendary architectural landmark and otherwise, in general, mid-century modern masterpiece of an architectural example here in, I don't even know what I'm saying, you guys. I'm so excited. I can't handle it because I get to share with you this. This is Ralph's. Ralph's is the big supermarket chain in Southern California. It started in 1878, and in about 1939, they were building these streamlined, modern buildings right here, like this one. This is about a 1939 one. I love those yuccas right there, don't you, as accessories? I love that ribbon of glass block that lets the light in. And most of all, you guys, this was taken obviously in the mid-50s, but how about that signboard, you guys, with all that like kind of deco streamline, well, really more streamline, details on it, and that big neon sign on the front and on the side in case you don't want to look up, no problem. But what I love about it more than anything is somebody had the wild idea to do kind of a pistachio meets strawberry meets chocolate ice cream. It's kind of Neapolitan gone pistachio. But if you look at it long enough, ooh, I'm pretty sure you're going to see Abraham Lincoln. You want art on the side of a building? Fine. You want a building as art? You want art as a building? How about this? Built in 1960, this is Newport Balboa Savings and Loan in Newport Beach. Sad to say it no longer stands, and that's tragic because it is a sampler platter of several 1950s architectural styles. The folded paper roofline, as I call it, that glass, just that plain glass front with the aluminum grid there, which is beautiful. And then that sunscreen, which has art on it. So, this is by a very famous, a very wonderful architect by the name of Sarmiento. Yeah, Sarmiento. So according to the legend, what I heard is Sarmiento got the job to design this building for the bank when he actually got in a car collision with the president of the bank. So yeah, they were both driving and they had a little wreck, and I guess they both hopped out of the car and they're like, oh no. So anyway, one thing led to another, and the next thing you know, as a result of a car accident, this building was built. So you want to go swimming? I know you do. Southern California is the swimming pool capital of the world. There are more swimming pools here per capita than anywhere else. Okay. Better calm down. We're doing fine so far. Are you guys doing okay? I know. And we still have so much more ground to cover. I mean, I made the show too long. Oh no. But there's no law against it. You can always basically, guys, you know, you can stop and watch it later. You have until July 1st to watch the show. You know that, right? At least those of you who are watching it live. But anyway, okay, here we go. Or not live. But anyway, okay, Southern California, swimming pool capital of the world. I know, I love that shot. But anyway, here we are at the home of well, first of all, that shape of that pool. There's no better shape for a swimming pool than kidney shape. That is the ultimate shape for a swimming pool, kidney shaped swimming pool. Bigger the better, and this one is huge. Look how big it is. I know. We are at the home of Mrs. Bathing Cap there and her husband behind her. I know she owned a bar at the farmer's market and he was an insurance salesman. I also know their parties were adults only. There they are, you know, kind of embracing there in the back, and well, there's another lady on his Mr.'s left, and then coming around we have little demure Miss Black dress with a high heel sandals. We have plaid shirt and sandals. We have tortoiseshell swim trunks. Between them and white earrings. Between them, that shaggy orange thing, red thing, was our hostess's bathing suit bottom a few slides ago. I might want to let you know. And then we have Mr. Hawaiian shirt. Cut to a few minutes later, and you have this. Little Miss Black dress isn't so demure after all, is she? She's having a very good time there, entertaining plaid shirt. Tortoiseshell swim trunks is now wearing our hostess's bathing suit bottom on his head, and white earrings has moved on. She's making sparks fly. I don't know where our host is, but our hostess is now has her arms wrapped around Mr. Hawaiian shirt. You get the picture? Alrighty then. We could go on. I could show you slides of these people, but we don't have time right now because I have to reveal to you what is beneath that giant piece of plexi that holds all of that candle, their abalone shell ashtrays, and their cocktail glasses. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest piece of patio furniture ever in the history of the known universe. Indeed, it is. And yes, this man is living the American dream. Golden brown suntan, red swim trunks, bongos in case he wants to pound out a little rhythm by the pool, and a phone with an extra long cord that somebody had to pay extra for. He's probably calling his Hollywood talent scout, agent, or movie director. Actually, it's got to be a movie director. How much do we all love the Hollywood movie director look? Guys, we need to do this more often. It's so genius. The white terry robe and a little cap with a little poof ball on top of it. Just sitting there in your slippers. That's kind of genius, you will have to admit. And I don't know what he's going to have for to eat, but I know he's got some food to drink. Why don't we go see what these people have? Well, I know what these people have because this slide was marked trout we caught in the San Gabriel River. Yes, with a 1957 Chevrolet pickup truck as a dramatic backdrop. This is a father and son exhibiting their catch. Yes, trout caught in the San Gabriel River. I don't think we would be eating that now, but apparently then they thought it was a good idea, and I'm sure it was absolutely delicious, because I do love trout, I do. Anyway, you guys, though, when you are barbecuing, you got to be very careful, because look what could happen. This is the Sunland Fire of the year, 1955, and as you can see, there are two little boys up on the roof with a hose trying to hose it down so that very flammable shake roof does not go up in flames, because they don't want their Tudor ranch-style tract home. The mother's running across the lawn. Little boy in suspenders is staring there like, what's going on? In front of him is a half-done soapbox derby car. The dog's looking, and the car is sitting there saying, like, I don't want to explode either. But anyway, luckily, everything turned out okay, but I'm not sure if the house got a little singed. No problem. They can move into an apartment in Hollywood. Yes, on Bronson Street near Franklin is the Copa Capri. Yes, a picture-perfect example of a mid-century modern style stucco box apartment with a little trimming on it and some grand signage like the title on a movie screen. Isn't it gorgeous? And don't you love that 53 Buick parked out front, you guys? I know. And the twin palms there as a dramatic accessory. and font designers in the house, you might want to take a note on that. I love what I call dingbat apartments around Los Angeles, you guys, and around the burbs. They are everywhere still. This is one of my favorites. I love the script on this, the Hauser. This is so optimistic, isn't it? I know. Well, this style of apartment building, they were built in the 50s and 60s, and not all of them have survived so intact. Like this one, for example. What used to be the Islander has now become the Slander. And this one, somebody better tell Cinderella she's lost her glass slipper. I know. But of all of them, and believe me, there are zillions. You could drive around Los Angeles and the suburbs for the rest of your life, all over Southern California, and marvel at the dingbat apartment buildings. This one's my favorite. Not the Capri, but the crappy. Yes, the crappy apartments in West Los Angeles. I know. Can you believe it? Isn't that hysterical? Anyway, the tour continues. This is Miss Universe taking her victory ride in Long Beach in the year of 1959. Yes, indeed, on a 1959 Chevrolet Impala convertible. It is Miss Venezuela. And that is the West Coast Theater there, the Fox. Well, I guess you could read that. But anyway, what I wanted to tell you is that the Miss Universe pageant started in Long Beach in the year of 1951. I just thought you might want to know that. Actually, I just love this slide so much. I just had to show it to you. As much as I love this one, Beauty Queens from the Date Festival in Indio. That's the Riverside County Fair that takes place every Feb. I don't say Ruary, I just say Feb. But anyway, I love a car. It's a 1959 Chrysler product, by the way. I can tell by the windshield and the vent windows there. But it is a, don't you love a car covered in rows of mint green and yellow toilet paper flowers? You guys, where do we begin to behold the glory of that? We need to do that again. We need to do this. We need to do this. But you can't find colored toilet paper anymore. It doesn't exist. I know, it's white, white, white. Anyway, and that, the turtle behind, because that's the Joshua Tree turtle races is what they're talking about. I don't know if they still have the turtle races in Joshua Tree every year. It was a big festival. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. But anyway, I should know. But I know they still have that big turtle there, you guys. He's made of ceramic, and he's on the side of the road in Joshua Tree. You guys got to go to Joshua Tree. It's amazing. The little town is there. They've got one of those big giant muffler men there. His name is Big Josh. And on the side of the road, you will see this turtle there. Also, you guys, my favorite parade display ever in the history of all parades in Southern California is the Lure Quality Meat Rocket. Yes, it says Lure Quality Meats right on it. It was a meat packing house in Los Angeles. It started in 1885. And this rocket ship made its rounds. And basically, I don't know, there was a door on the side and kids would go in and watch a movie about going to outer space or whatever. And it was a big deal. And I don't know how long it lasted. But anyway, if you want to get a better look at it, no problem, you'll have to do what I did and go to Connecticut because it's in a barn right now, you guys. Yes, the Lure Quality Meat Rocket still exists, thankfully. And it's owned by a guy who collects all outer space age things from the 1950s. And I want to thank him because he is preserving it for future generations from the elements. It spent years in a junkyard in Arizona, but no longer. No, it is in a barn where it is safe. Until it's eagerly awaiting its restoration, but not as eagerly as I'm awaiting the restoration, because who doesn't want to take a ride in a rocket ship? I know I do. But anyway, speaking of rocket ships, you guys, if you like rocket ships, you'll probably like Knights in Shining Armor, and this is one right now at Shields Date Garden in Indio since 1926. Here you see it in the early 1950s when this building, the new sales room, was brand new. It is still there, and this is the ultimate place, you guys, to go have a date shake. It is our local food in Southern California, really. It's our local beverage, the date shake. You got to have one here and get some dates while you're there. They're wonderful. And out back is the picture-perfect place for you to have a family portrait, you guys. I've seen a lot of family portraits going through other people's old slides, but this is my favorite. I just come on, climb up a tree and have your picture taken. It's just kind of perfect. I love palm trees too, by the way. Don't you? And of course, while you're there, this is a billboard advertising the other most important feature and attraction of Shields Date Garden, which is still surviving, as I said, to this day, since 1926 till now. You can still go there and see a film In color and sound, yes, the romance and sex life of the date. So yeah, they play a film, you guys, that, well, it's the romance and sex life of the date. You got to see it. In Desert Hot Springs, we have this. Well, this is, hello, I want to introduce you. This is Mr. Walker of Monrovia. And yes, he has man breasts. Oh, Mr. Walker of Monrovia. If he wants to lay out, that's no problem. There's at least 1.5 feet between the pool and the wall. You want a chaise lounge? Too bad. A park bench will have to do ya. You need a lifeguard? Too bad. Not one on duty. But anyway, don't you love that painted-in mural? There are hundreds and hundreds of miles of undisturbed desert scenery, and what do they have to do? They have to go paint it in anyway. And by the way, there's no parking by the pool either, clearly indicated by that red curb all the way around it. So you have to just pull up and open the door and dive right into the pool there and let your driver drive away. Speaking of artwork, here's some artwork right here for you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Farmer John, well, meat processing plant in Vernon, California in the year of 1953. The powers there that be saw fit to, well, they thought it would be a good idea if they hired a Hollywood scenic painter. Well, yeah, Hollywood scenic painter to paint pig farm scene murals all the way around the building to disguise the horrors of what's going on inside. And so they did. They found a guy, and he did an amazing job. And these murals are still there to this day, you guys. So it took him 3 years to paint all the way around the building. And when he was done after 3 years and the job was complete, the powers there that be said, oh, by the way, well, where you started painting 3 years ago, it's starting to crack a little, so you might want to touch those up. Well, that turned into a full-time job for 15 years. He touched up the murals. He just, on a ladder every day, painting the murals, just keeping them up, until one day, he fell off the ladder and died right there. And this is the sad part of the show. This slide is not about the yellow cinder block wall, not about the cockeyed serape hung there so stylishly, not about the people, not about the tablecloth, not about the patio furniture, not about the dishes, not about the hurricane lamps, not about the food. No. This slide is about Nookie. Well, Nookie's not long for this world. Our hearts are sad, our days are long. Nookie is gone. So, another slide in this collection revealed to me that this was the Pet Haven Cemetery in Gardena. So one fateful day, I hopped into my 1963 Dodge 880 four-door sedan, and I drove down there, and I thought, I'm going to find Nookie's gravestone. Well, I tripped and stumbled over every Fifi and Fido gravestone in the whole place. After about 2 hours, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm over this. I'm not going to find it. They've clearly resold the grave. I'm going. At that moment, this is true, by the way. I don't make this stuff up unless it's totally obvious. At that moment, I looked down, and right there it was, Nookie. Our hearts are sad, our days are long. So I thought to myself, well, if I found Nookie, certainly I'm going to be able to find Ike, our precious white rat, loved by Mom, Aunt, and Hugh from 52 to 53. And above that, Liz, our white rat, also loved by Mom, Aunt, and Hugh from 54 to 55. And then there's another one there, Baby Girl, our white rat from, I can't see the years on that, but apparently Mom, Aunt, and Hugh loved their rats for a year and then put them down. I never did find Ike or Liz or Baby Girl, the rat graves. But speaking of Ike, here he is now. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is President Ike Eisenhower and his lovely wife, Mamie, his first lady, and ours in Palm Springs, California. And behold the glory. They have arrived in their 1960 Imperial limousine, custom-bodied in Italy by Ghia. And you guys, the big fins and everything. I mean, where do we begin? You know we love old cars. But we also know, or do we, gentlemen, that it is absolutely impolite and improper to shake the hand of a woman with your other hand in your pocket. So please, never do that. Anyway, it's also kind of improper to invite the president and first lady, well, at this point, they were the former president and first lady, to invite them to a place where people have been doing donuts the night before. Also, I want to know, where are the Secret Service? There's people peeking through the bushes. I know. Okay, you guys, here we go. We're doing this. Yes, we are. Salton Sea. We've still got a little ways to go, you guys. Are you okay so far? I better have another drink. This time out of my Addicted to Americana cup, you guys. I've got like cups and stuff on my website you can buy. I've learned to drink again. No more choking. Did you have a drink too, I hope? Maybe you've, well, anyway, never mind. Okay, so, I mean, you guys, the Salton Sea sales office, they're selling lots of the Salton Sea. Have you ever been to the Salton Sea? Okay, Salton Sea, I mean, there's just too much to go into, you guys. Where do we begin? But a boat, like this boat as a sales office, I love the world of fantasy architecture and everything. I mean, such whimsy. That's what I love about the era that I'm sharing with you. I love the whimsy. I love the optimism. I love the mood is upness of it all. Don't you? I love the color. I want color. I want this world to be painted in bright colors. Whatever surfaces should be painted. Anyway, this is also in Salton Sea. This is the Salton Sea Yacht Club, you guys, built in 1958, designed by legendary Palm Springs modernist architect Albert Frey. This is mid-century on a budget, cinder blocks, that fiberglass, the yellow fiberglass there. I love the flag motifs, and I love those shades on the windows. I mean, you guys, this is like outer space age style. This is brilliant, and I will tell you what's even more brilliant is miracle of miracles. After years of being in complete ruin, just a few years ago, this unbelievably outer space age style science fiction piece of architecture was restored to divine perfection and virtually looks exactly like this again today. And when you go there, I hope, like these people, you are dressed properly. I mean, you guys, okay, gentlemen, we need to start wearing like calypso pants more often. And I mean, they're like little two-piece outfits. They're not cabana sets, but they're more like calypso sets. And the rope tie belt, is that genius or what? Rope tie belt alert, rope tie belt alert, rope tie belt alert. I know. Okay. It's kind of like a fashion show they're having right there, isn't it? I know. Speaking of fashion shows, here's one for you. Overlooking the entire Pacific Ocean on a clear day you can see forever. This has to be, well, it's definitely Palos Verdes. I know that. This has to be like the Wednesday Afternoon Fine Arts League. And there is a bride in the middle, and I don't know, are those bridesmaid dresses? I don't know what's going on, but I'm certainly enjoying just the mere notion of the fact that this ever happened, and the fact that we have proof because of the miracle that is Kodachrome photography, you guys. Yes, indeed it is. And in the far distance, we see a cliff. On that cliff, just a couple years later, this must be about 53, judging by what they're wearing, because in 54 was built this. This is the world's largest oceanarium, ladies and gentlemen. This is Marineland. Yes, built in 1954, demolished in 1957. Here is the sign. I don't know about you, but I bet you're like me. I would go anywhere with a sign like this. Don't you love it? I know. Marineland, world's largest oceanarium, restaurant, cocktails, motel, pier facility, sport fishing. God, I need new glasses. Coastal cruises, boats, boat launching. Boat launching. You guys, I know. I mean, I'm like the fish. Well, anyway. And here is the restaurant, you guys. Okay, this is the most spectacular restaurant ever built in the world. It has to be. For where else are you going to see seashells by the seashore glued on the ceiling, on the circular ceiling? I know. Uh-oh, sorry. I'm getting a little verklempt again. There's a lot. It's just a lot. And plus, it's so beautiful. I just... You know, I mean, it's emotional, all this stuff. I mean, what I'm doing, you guys, is, I mean, in reality, the reason I do this is to pay tribute to it. I wish we knew who did this. I wish I could go back and I wish I could tell the people that designed this. This is a masterpiece. This is genius. This is gorgeous. Look at this restaurant. This is the most beautiful restaurant ever. Look at that carpet. Look at those mid-century modern tables. And yeah... the seashells on the ceiling. Get out your glue gun. Start ordering seashells online immediately. I know. And on a clear day, you can see Catalina, Southern California's best kept secret. Where do we begin to behold the glory of how much we love 26 miles across the sea? Santa Catalina is awaiting for you and me. Yes, it is a nature-preserved land and sea. It is a charming little village. Avalon, and it's just talk about the layers of time. I love to go there. There's a whole show that I did on it called Catalinaland. You go on my website and it'll tell you all the legends, the landmarks, the lore, and more galore. Yeah, you guys, I love Catalina Island so much. And I mean, I can't go on about Catalina because we don't have time, but I just have to share with you on the big old steamer boats that used to go, there were two of them. The steamer boat that used to go back and forth, back in the day. There still is a boat that goes there, Catalina Express, you guys. You can go there, and I highly recommend it. But unfortunately, you're not going to see Catalina Cappy on the boat. But wouldn't it be funny if we did a social experiment and dressed somebody up like Catalina Cappy? Maybe that should be me, and see how people respond. I know, can you imagine? And whatever you do, though, dress your kids alike. The world needs more children dressed alike. I mean, this seems to be a trend in the show, right? And the other thing is in Catalina, from May to September, I believe, you will see Southern California's most underrated and most precious, well, wildlife, you guys. Well, okay, I know it's all precious. All the wildlife is precious. But you guys, have you ever seen flying fish? This is a taxidermed, do you say taxidermed? Flying fish. Anyway, I am like so totally crazy about seeing the flying fish in Catalina, you guys. Yeah, they fly. You go out on a boat, and all of a sudden they you know, put a big spotlight on the water or whatever. And I guess I don't know what happens, but it causes them. Well, I do know what happens. The fish fly out of the water like that, and you'll see thousands of them, and it's shocking. And anyway, one of these days, I want to have a taxidermied flying fish. But, I guess I shouldn't be saying that. That's not animal friendly. But anyway, this one was taxidermied a very long time ago, and it's in the private collection of the Catalina Island Museum right now. And if you want to see it, you'll have to ask for it. They've had it in the collection there for decades. I mean, decades it's been there. This is San Pedro High School, and this is Mr. Sheffield's class. And it's the drama department or whatever. And okay, people say, do people ever recognize people in the slides? And this is one I can tell you, yes, indeed. I showed this slide, many years ago for the first time, and a lady yelled out of the audience, "Oh my gosh, that's Mr. Sheffield, my drama teacher at San Pedro High School." And I'm like, well, and I knew she knew because, I knew she was right because all his slides said Mr. Sheffield on them. So anyway, I said, well, what can you tell us about Mr. Sheffield? She said, well, she thought a minute and she said, I don't know. And I said, well, there must be something. If he was your drama teacher, you must know something about him. And she said, well, he lived at home with his mother and he never married. I said, well, that explains everything and the reason why he took this picture. Muscle Beach, Santa Monica, 1957. This young man is doing the hood ornament pose, which I understand is very difficult to do. But what I want to know is, sorry, now I'm spitillating. Hold on. Is this man enjoying cool ocean breezes where one does not ordinarily enjoy a cool ocean breeze? Anyway, so you guys, I will tell you that back in the day, Hollywood talent scouts definitely scouted Muscle Beach for beefcake and cheesecake to be featured or as extras in movies and everything. So speaking of the movies, let's go to the movies right now. Let's go to the movie studios out front of Metro Goldwyn Mayer. This is the studio in Culver City where they made all the legendary movie musicals of the 40s and 50s. Well, maybe not all of them, but most of them. Anyway, and there is a lady there, sitting there. I don't know. I call her the mobile secretary because she is, well, she's got a typewriter. And she is sitting in a convertible 1954 88 by Oldsmobile. Don't you love those door panels, you guys? I know. Well, I don't know if she is the security guard or what, but she's not going to let us in. Fine, be that way. We're on our way anyway over to Paramount Studios in Hollywood where they're filming The 10 Commandments. Yes, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I do know that, well, this is one of the big moments in, well, there were many big moments in The 10 Commandments, the most famous movie of the 1950s, indeed. Anyway, Charlton Heston there as Moses, and you've got Yul Brynner and Ann Baxter there sitting there, and this is definitely behind the scenes. So, well, if you like this picture, you'll like this one. I love those 6 spotlights, the blue screen, and those 2 Teamsters that forgot their costumes. And this is the big scene. So I went to I've been collecting for a long time, you guys. And like I said, you never know what you're going to find. I went to a big estate sale in Glendale. This is a long time ago already, 20 plus years ago. And I walked in the door and the lady said, you're the guy that collects all the old slides. And I said, as a matter of fact, I am. And she said, well, I have 30 boxes for you. Right this way, please. I looked at them. I said, I'll take them. So I got them home. I looked at 29 boxes. I couldn't do another box. 29 boxes full of pictures of the hound dog at home. And I thought, what a waste of a day looking through all these slides. And finally, the last box said 10 com on it. And I thought, what is that? So I opened it up, and there were 350 slides taken on the set of the 10 Commandments. So I called the lady up, and I said, what did the man do? And she said, oh, he was Cecil B. DeMille's assistant. And I'm like, well, that explains everything. Score! I know. And I didn't want you guys to feel left out, so here was my favorite shot of all of the hound dog, which happened to feature his wife, and apparently she has better things to do than give... he's in the tub, or is that the shower? Yeah, anyway, but she's reading the November 1957 issue of Disneyland, and while she reads it, all about it, we are going to Disneyland. Look at that map right there. Here it is, the bird's eye view of the happiest place on earth. If ever, oh ever, there was a perfect time and place for a movie studio to build a theme park, ladies and gentlemen, Anaheim, 1955. Walt Disney did not invent the theme park, but he certainly perfected it. The most eagerly anticipated and fondly remembered days of my childhood were spent at Disneyland. And by the way, yeah, you see it right here. And this is pre-Matterhorn, so this is definitely pre-1959. Up at the top there, you can see Main Street, USA, and that big green area there is the Adventureland. And over to the right, you see the Mark Twain. And then you get Dirtland and Orange Grove Land, and there's Fantasyland. You can see the pirate ship there. And the carousel with the round circle, and then we've got Grassland and Tomorrowland and the original Cars Land. Yes, we have arrived. Indeed, we have. The sign, you guys, is that sign. I mean, again, the color theory. It's just spectacular. Look at that yellow, that blue, that red, that green, that orange. It's perfection. Style-wise and otherwise. What else would we expect? Oh, Disneyland, you do not disappoint. And I love the fact that the bus stop sign is the same shape as the Matterhorn there. And here we are in. Yes, that moment, I'll tell you, when I walk into Disneyland, the first few moments that I'm there, first of all, I feel like I'm every age that I ever was, which is a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And I never, ever, ever took going to Disneyland as a child for granted. I cherished every time we went, and I absorbed as much as my brain could possibly allow. I know that I learned more at Disneyland than I learned at school. I really did. I know. And not to mention the fact that, well, we could go on and on and on and everything, but how much do we love when we see the characters? Yes, I love Grandma here and her grandson. They've just arrived. They're a little stiff, but I mean, they're probably very nervous to run into the one, the only Minnie Mouse. You know what's weird, you guys, is I just kind of noticed Bob's Big Boy, kind of, and Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, they are similar. They have the same eye shape. They have the same eyebrows, the same overall kind of structure, the face. I mean, come on. It's all from the same creative gene pool. We might as well face it. So anyway, but we're not talking about Bob's Big Boy right now, or Big Boy. We're talking about Minnie. I love the fact that she's plucked her eyebrows and painted them way up there. I love the false eyelashes. I don't know who did the rouge, but boy, that's kind of heavy. And anyway, I mean, this is one of the original Minnies. Behold the glory. You want to ride on a paddle wheeler? Fine. The Mark Twain was the first paddle wheeler built in the United States in more than 50 years. Now, I will tell you, if you ask politely, I think they still do this, you can actually go up and pretend steer it and they will give you a little certificate. I did that once, and then they said, I'm sorry, we're out of certificates. I'm like, that's what I wanted, was a certificate. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I still have the memory, and life is about memories. Make memories in life. It's important. But what I want to know is what's going to or from Bakersfield, Fresno, and Richmond, California, and the Tomcat Pet Shop at Fresno. I have no idea, but I do know that over there in the far distance, I see a stagecoach. Indeed, it is a stagecoach, and it's ready for its close-up. In the early days of Frontierland, you guys, they actually had stagecoaches and Conestoga wagons that would take you out in the undeveloped area of Disneyland. And anyway, but there was a problem with them. According to the legend, they kept tipping over. So finally one day in 1959, Walt Disney said, that's it, no more tip overs, they're going, and they were never to be seen or heard from again. However, I do know that they actually have been. This stagecoach still does exist, because I've seen it at Disneyland once in a while. I don't know, can't remember quite what the occasion was, but it was out, and it is quite a relic to see. Speaking of things to see, how much do we love one of the original iconic attractions of Disneyland, of course, is the Jungle Cruise. And this is its like Indiana Jones makeover or whatever. I don't know about you, but I love a striped canopy on a Jungle Cruise boat. Oh, I know, don't you? I just, this is the closest thing I'll probably ever get to going through the Amazon. And there's just something about being on this ride. I've been riding that ride. I mean, yeah, it's evolved over the years. The jungle has grown in gloriously over the past, how many years has it been now? 61 years old. 61. Yeah, no, 1955, so 66 years old. Disneyland is 66 years old. Wow, I'm just like doing the math here. Anyway, so ride on the Jungle Cruise. Oh, I know. It's like a religious experience, as is riding on Dumbo. Where else in the world are you going to be able to ride on a giant elephant around and around on 3 levels? Originally, the ears were supposed to flap up and down, but the motors kept burning out, so they just decided to do that with them. Originally, they were going to paint the elephants pink, but that represented drunkenness, and that wasn't going to do. And so gray, they will always be. And of course, the pirate ship back there is where we always had tuna sandwiches for lunch when I was a child. And then, of course, let's not forget another iconic must experience at Disneyland every time you go, unless, or you haven't experienced Disneyland, and that are the iconic, I love the teacups. Don't you love the teacups? I know. And you try to spin as fast as you possibly can. Oh, I know. It's just something so exhilarating about just the mere thought that you could go and pay $125, and among the thrills that you're going, or something like that, whatever it is, it's the best deal there is in entertainment and experiential extravaganzacalness. Disneyland, yeah. We're lucky it's not more, you guys. I mean, it's a bargain at any price. This place is an icon, a legend, a landmark of all time, for all ages, forever, here, and always. And don't you love the color theory, of the original facade of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, which was just painted canvas, you guys. I know. Anyway, and in line we see, who do we run into? Remember Sue and Beanie's girls in the Rick Rack trim dresses? Well, here they are in a matching jumpsuit in a beautiful blue chambray, convertible collar, zip tie front, and matching self-tie belt. I know. And I hope they get to ride the ride with those gentlemen behind them, for it really will be a wild ride. Speaking of wild rides, you guys, one of the wildest rides at Disneyland, back in the day, from 1956, from the time they went away in the 90s, how much did we all love? Well, I always call them the buckets, but technically they're called the Skyway, and I love this shot because they go right through that Matterhorn. They were there before the Matterhorn. The Matterhorn was built around them, and I also understand that, I didn't really do it. Well, except for maybe once. Enjoy a little of the medicinal stuff while you're riding on the Skyway. That is no longer an option since they're no longer there. But look at that big S-curve of the monorail track, you guys. But we're not at the monorail track yet. And don't you love the yacht bar? And don't you love the water, the submarine? The color is so beautiful. And before we go, you guys, we're in the final stretch right now. Is everybody okay so far? I hope so, because feast your senses on this. This is the original Tomorrowland, the world of 1987. Yes, it is indeed. I love it so much. That flagpole is gorgeous, isn't it? But never mind that. We're talking about American Motors presents Sir Car-Rama. That was the precursor to my second all-time favorite attraction at Disneyland, the movie in the round. Remember that? America the Beautiful. And then the Clock of the World. We've got the TWA Rocket to the Moon, and we've got the Monsanto Hall of Chemistry there on the right. That was a walkthrough exhibit that showed us how chemicals were going to improve the quality of our lives. Indeed. I know. And I think the TWA Rocket to the Moon is ready for its close-up. It is a mid-century modern masterpiece. Luckily, when they built this one, they built another one for the TWA headquarters in Kansas City, Missouri. And this one at Disneyland did not survive the makeover of Tomorrowland in 1967. However, I will tell you, its twin that was built at the same time did survive and is currently on display at the Airline History Museum in Kansas City, Missouri. This is the Tomorrowland man. Apparently they were predicting doom in 1987. We will be wearing a bubble head. Oh gosh, I don't want to jinx it. This could come true, you guys. I know. A bubble over our head. And I'm not sure if those are tubes for the oxygen to go around our neck or what, neck braces because our necks have weakened or whatever. Elbow pads, thick, heavy gloves, a little computer around our waistline, knee pads. I mean, yeah, I hope this isn't the man of the future, but apparently at the time they thought it was. But anyway, if you want to take a ride, fine, let's take a ride on the Autopia. How much do we all love the Autopia? I remember as a child, there was a sign out front and you had to be a certain height. And I can remember, okay, I'm just about 6 inches to go. And we'd go back to Disneyland, 5 inches, 4 inches, 3 inches. Finally, I was tall enough. And oh, I love to ride on the Autopia, don't you? Anyway, originally Walt Disney and his Imagineers had no intent for these cars to be treated as bumper cars. And so these delicate little fiberglass European sports car wannabe-bodied cars were either demolished or destroyed, or demolished or damaged just a couple weeks after this attraction opened in 1955. And so they had to be rebodied with bumpers. And so Disney said, fine, if they want to have bumper cars in Tomorrowland, we'll have them. We'll give them bumper cars, UFO bumper cars, the flying saucers, you guys. And yes, it looks like Grandpa really wants to do some bumping. Yes, the flying saucer attraction lasted in Disneyland in Tomorrowland from 1961 to 1966. Unfortunately, it wasn't terribly democratic because if you're too heavy, you just sat there. If you were too light, you might flip right over on your side. But this is what we're talking about now, you guys. Oh, yeah. Behold the glory. Where do we begin? How do we ever even begin to think about the possibility of discussing the level of true greatness of this, the monorail that was added in Disneyland in 1959. Design work from the desk of the legendary, iconic Disney designer, Bob Gurr. In every way, every day, you can see from its bubble plexi top up front there, all the way sweeping back to those upside down 59 Cadillac tail fins and that beautifully gorgeous outer space age science fiction style rear end. This is the most glorious piece of mass transit ever designed in the history of the known universe. In the future, this is the way that we were supposed to get to work, and this was going to be our house. Yes, this is the Disneyland House of the Future. It was located between the Tomorrowland entrance and the castle between the years of 1957 and 1967. According to the brochure, there wasn't a natural material in the entire house. You walked through it, and here is the inside. But you know what, you guys, before we get to the inside, what's ironic about the House of the Future is that it still looks futuristic. It still looks futuristic. So I can see it. I'd live there, wouldn't you? I know. You could even do stack them up too. How gorgeous it would be. a mid-century modern masterpiece that looks like a giant marshmallow wheel of cheese with 2 giant TV screen cutouts for windows. Speaking of giant TV screens, they got that right, didn't they? Yes, they did. I know. So this is the living room of the House of the Future, you guys. It was remodeled several times over its 10-year time in Disneyland. I wish they'd bring it back or build them somewhere. But anyway, yeah, the giant TV screen, very nice looking. But how are you supposed to look at it? Actually, I think you're supposed to lay your back down on that shag rug and then put the back of your legs on the sofa and lean up and look at it like that. I'm not sure, but somebody was channeling the 1970s with those dried flowers. And anyway, I know, where do we begin? Yes, the future at Disneyland, the new Tomorrowland of 1967, absolutely was the most spectacular place that I could have ever dreamt of being when I was a child. It was like Nirvana. It was heaven on earth. That's it. There's no better way to explain. The rocket jets were scary and we loved them. The people mover slow, but we loved it anyway. And as we observe it all from the Carousel of Progress exit ramp, we look down in the crowd, we get a close-up of the people mover cars on that gorgeous elevated track, and we see Mr. and Mrs. Tomorrowland. And we all know just because you and your mate are Tomorrowland does not mean that you will not have a Frontierland child. Nope, there are no guarantees in life. And finally, before we go, I want to say thank you to Disneyland. Thank you to the Carousel of Progress, we're looking at the Carousel of Progress right here. It was a theatrical experience, theater in the round. You went through household progress from the turn of the century it was basically the story of electricity, how electricity changed household life and city life. Anyway, so you went from turn of the century to the 20s to the 40s, and here we are sometime beyond the year of 1973, where we have... I love the split level. I love the ice maker in the double-doored refrigerator in avocado green. And we have computer-operated robot mannequins that are living in a high-rise overlooking. They have the picture-perfect view of the picture-perfect city. And they sing and speak to us about the pleasures of household progress. Yes, indeed, they do. And their song is one of the words that I live by. Every day, I have to say. Hope springs eternal, you guys. And this song that they sang, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a dream away. I could go on, but tomorrow is just a dream away, you guys. Anyway, before we go, a couple more things. A few years ago, so thank you, Disneyland. You taught me how to look through the layers of time. You taught me about style guides. Basically, you taught me so much. I'm eternally grateful to you. And you made me realize the whole world is like a great big theme park. You also made me realize that life is full of surprises. Most of them are wonderful. Like the time I went to Disneyland, dressed up for a Dapper Day to host an event. And at the event, I knew that Mickey Mouse was going to be there. And I was very excited because really I've only met Mickey Mouse like a couple times before. And so I was excited, but can you believe this was totally unplanned? Mickey Mouse shows up wearing the exact same thing that I'm wearing. Oh, what a wonderful memory that is. I love Mickey Mouse forever and always, and I will cherish the memory of that as long as I possibly can. I will also cherish the fact that I've had the privilege and the pleasure of growing up in Southern California, and I do not take it for granted. I really don't. I love the east, the west, the north, and south of it. I love the layers of time of it, and I have explored it extensively. And it has been my pleasure to share with you today Southern Californialand. And before we go, one last big thing. Yep. Did you realize that here in Southern California, in Downey, California, is where all 6 command modules that took man to and from the moon were designed and built? I think that's a pretty big deal. I always wanted to be an astronaut, and you never know. Careful what you wish for in life. your dream may come true, and never forget, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow is just a dream away. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I look forward to the day I get to see you in person. Have a wonderful evening, you guys. Thank you again. Bye.